Welcome, welcome, welcome. So sorry for my tardiness to the party. I am 10 minutes late. I had, of course, a little technical snafu. So I'm so sorry to keep y'all waiting. Let me see who's up in the heezy. We got Miss Robin. Hey, Robin. Yes, you're in the right place. We got Michelle. We got Miss Geraldine. Jada. Hey, Jada. Teresa. Hey, Kimmy. The queen. All of y'all are queens, but Miss Queen Stephanie is up in this thing. Hey, Stephanie. Who else we got? Moni. Yvonne is up in here. Hey, lady. I'm super excited. I got my notes up. I took notes. I put my brows on. So let's get this chat started. I had a really cute setup. I am so upset. My setup was really cute, but I guess you'll have to see it next time. Hey, Rosanna. Miss Halone. Okay. Is she in? Yes. How is Rwanda, by the way? You have to let us know. So, the tea that you've been so anxiously awaiting. All right. So, this is what it was like. So, fast forward. Some of y'all know what happened in Malaysia, maybe not, but I'll do a different video on that later. 87 plane rides. I land in Albania. They take your passport. They do not stamp it, actually. So it's like a digital joint, which is new for the kid. You know, we love these stamps. So they just like digitally put you in the system as being in the country or whatever. No questions asked. Walk through, grab a little cash from the ATM with my Charles Schwab. Ting! And then immediately you see like 500 taxi drivers outside. Now, if you're a woman, which most of us are, there's something a little intimidating about 78 homies just posted up, or just like walking through crowds in general. And then you having to say, no, thank you, because you just headed straight for the bus, which I was. So I did like a little bit of research. Like, you know, that's typically what I do when you get somewhere. How do I get from the airport to wherever I'm going? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm walking through them. I turn my camera on because you could, you know, it's glass. So like you could see them hanging out in front of the airport trying to get those taxi fares, and just hang out a little bit, wait for the bus, go into the city center. The first thing you notice, it's like a Mercedes, like they handing them out like candy. Why? Why are there so many Mercedes? But it's not just Mercedes. So it's like Volkswagen and I don't know. I think I saw a Hummer. I don't know. Whatever other super expensive name brand. You would think that equated to money, but we'll get to that later. So you see a lot of them and they do not know how to drive. The homegirl, Karen, Miss Chef, what is her name on there? I guess it's just Chef Karen. She has been here for over a year. She likens their driving to folks who are anxious to get to the mall, like a 16-year-old who's just anxious to get to the mall. Where are you going? I don't know, but you in there in a rush. And like the lines in the road are merely a suggestion because they will cut off in front of you like, oh, I need to go this way real quick and jump right over real quick. So that's immediately what I noticed. The other thing I noticed was, of course, no masks. The other thing I noticed was the huge walking culture. So it's like everybody walks, well, in Tirana. So I went to the city center, to the capital, to the capital city. Everybody's walking, except for the people in Mercedes who were anxious to get somewhere. And that was really nice to see because a lot of other places, like there's not a walking culture. So I was really excited to experience that. Let me see what y'all saying. Bondi. Okay. Hey, Vicky girl. Athena. Your hair looks good. Thank you. I just did a little washing. Let that thing do. I was just going to say Albania is supposed to be poor. You missed the tea on Malaysia. I got you. I got you on the tea later for Malaysia. Yeah, we'll talk about that money piece later. So I get there and I'm basically like trying to lay down somewhere because I'm tired. I'm so tired. So the flight was from, I took a bus. So I was, you remember I was on the island in Malaysia, Penang. So I took a bus down to the city capital. I don't know why I can't say things right. I took a bus down to the capital, Kuala Lumpur, and then another bus to the airport. So the flight went from Kuala Lumpur to Singapore, and we had to change planes, which meant we had to go through airport security again for no reason. Because what did I get on the plane that was going to be of danger? So we had to go through everyone. And the only reason I say that is because I'm traveling illegally with all types of stuff I am not supposed to be traveling with. That is something about me. I will pack it up and hide stuff and hope that it doesn't get caught. And like for the most part, it works. But if you're somebody who's doing something dangerous, then you didn't just hear that. So then the flight was from Singapore to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to, where did I go in Italy? Venice? No, it's not Venice because I don't think they even have an airport. I don't know, somewhere in Italy. Because I didn't leave the airports. I don't know. Somewhere in Italy, and then from Italy to Albania. So it was like a lot of flights and a little bit of downtime in between some of them. One of the first things I remember when I landed in Amsterdam was, you get off the plane, you go through security or whatever, and I went to the bathroom and the water was cold, but like actual, not cool, not tepid, not just a little bit less than warm. It was like actually cold, and like you can see people like drinking coffee and like in sweaters, like looking all cozy. If you don't know about the temperature in Malaysia, it's like being in an armpit. It is hot, it is sweaty, it's humid, it's nasty all the time, day and night. There's no reprieve from the heat, day and night. And so when that cold water touched my beautiful brown hands, I was so excited. I was like, cold, what a concept. So yes, when I did land in Tirana, I was like, girl, where is a bed? So I had booked somewhere, and you book a couple nights or whatever. And of course I gotta eat. So then you gotta get up and go do that. So the first night was fine. I knocked all the way out. I actually stayed at a hostel, so I have really, really good luck with hostels. Usually there is nobody else there, and I have the entire room to myself, which I love. There just so happened to be this one German girl there, which was fine. And she actually had COVID like before, and she was still traveling. Um, and she was just telling me about like how hard it was, and she couldn't see family and like all this other stuff. People like have to drop stuff at the door and then like run, and how hard it had been on her mentality, her emotions, and like all of that good stuff. And she was still out here, and it's just like, do you, boo? I guess she was vaccinated. I think she mentioned that. Anyway, I try not to talk about this stuff because ain't nobody got enough sense or believe in science. So, but after that, she left. Another girl like came later that night, but she also left. So I think I was there for maybe a couple of weeks, and I'll tell you why. So I had contacted someone. I joined the Facebook groups before I entered the country, and somebody had posted about some commercials that they were doing, and I was like, bet I'm a natural actress, actually. And they were like, yeah, come through. We want to meet you. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I did that. But it was like as soon as I landed, pretty much, they just had my life in their very hands. So I was in 2 commercials, actually. I'll show you some footage from one of them. I was in like this machine that it was super uncomfortable. And I like the sparkling water, like the water with the gas. So, and I was strapped up tight. So it was very, very uncomfortable the first time I did it. I did not make that mistake again for the actual shooting of the commercial. But the machine did 180-degree like turn. So I'm strapped in and so that was for one of the commercials. The other one was for a company that we all know and love. So I actually got paid, but it was like a lot of running around. And I'm having to figure out the bus. A lot of countries, the bus system is on Google Maps, and that's not a thing here for whatever reason. They have internet. I'm using it right now, but they don't know about the possibilities of the internet, I guess, which is their business because I'm a visitor. So I was having to figure that out using my Googles at my wit's end, trying to make it to the shootings and the casting calls and like all this stuff, having to figure out the city through that and like stopping off to eat here or there. And then meeting a few locals through the commercial, through people who worked for the production companies and stuff. So that was really interesting. And it was a really big experience. A lot of the shooting days were like super long days. So how many days was it total? I don't know. The one I had to go like 2 days. The other one was a full 2-day shoot, but they were like 12, 13-hour days. And I was the principal. So it was really, it wasn't a speaking role. So you're not going to get to hear these vocals, but you'll get to see my face and my hands. They got my nails done and everything for it. So I'm excited for when that comes out. So that just had me gripped up. So in the meantime, I'm trying to find a place to live. And this is where Albania girl, I'm not your friend. And you were not my friend either. This is the kind of place apparently where you have to know someone who knows someone to get a place to live, unless you got bread, which I do not right now at this point in my life. I got a little bit, but not a lot. I don't know if I told you all like last December, I was looking for somewhere else to live in Malaysia, and I ended up buying like appliances and stuff like that in order to find somewhere. So that just sunk like a lot of my bread. And not to mention, these Albanians is like, they about their money. So they see that passport, they hear that accent, they see that you're brown, like you just different in general. That price is going all the way up. So a lot of these places are charging thrice the price, for accommodation, which to a lot of people is cheap because, they coming from Germany, they coming from the UK, they coming from Italy, even any place where the colonizers are. So this is the thing that I'm learning is like the places where the colonizers are is where the money is. I think Stephanie had done that video talking about where to find rich men. Those are the places that you got to go. The places that were colonized, while rich in a lot of other things, usually it's not going to be money. So yeah, I think I'm not into history a lot at all, but I think Albania just kind of been run through when it comes to the colonizers. And you'll see that influence like in a lot of the food, which I'll talk about soon. So it took me, I'm on Facebook, right? In these groups, and somebody posts something. Actually, I'm in Tirana, which is towards the middle north. There's a place that's super popular. It's a beach town. It's a tourist, I guess, trap, or whatever. But a lot of people go there. It's called Saranda, and it's all the way at the south. It's like 5 hours south of Tirana. But a lot of people enjoy life there, even though out of tourist season, it is completely empty, apparently. It is hilly. I did not get to see the beautiful beaches, which I'll talk about soon. But somebody was like, hey, I got a place, come through. There was a lady in the group. She was like, I know this person. He's a doctor. He'll get you set up, whatever, whatever. He's just a good person to know in general. So I'm like, girl, I'm tired from all this commercial shooting and like just a general like not feeling settledness in the prospect of being settled, not being within reach. It was super draining. So I was like, all right, girl, I guess I'll go down there. So hop on the bus. I'm taking all my stuff with me. So what did I travel with? Like one rolly, one carry-on rolly, and then my Osprey backpack. I think that's all I had. Yeah. But it was heavy, like because it's like pretty much my whole life, because that's how I traveled. So I get on the bus, go down there. I'm calling him. Ain't nobody picking up. I'm just sitting and I drank a beer, waiting. Just why I come all the way down here? I can't reach you. And he finally calls me, and he's actually like right around the corner. I had tried to pick a space that was like close to the address he had given me. And it's his mom there. And his mom is like, I think she's in her 70s. And she's like, girl, my sister is coming from Italy and she's going to rent this place. So the part where I wanted to break down, okay, the part where I just wanted to give up the ghost. I am so tired. Not to mention, like when I was shooting the commercial, there was the second day of the second commercial. The shoes that I was wearing for the commercial, they just like had zero support. They were just cardboard cutouts apparently. So like my legs had like pooled quite a bit of blood. I've never experienced that in my life. And then my knee, like both of them were a little bit achy, but one in particular was like super stiff. So you're dealing with like this very hilly terrain with all my luggage, with somebody not answering the phone. So I just like seriously wanted to just, girl, whatever. But she was like, so this is the Albanian hospitality people talk about. She just like felt super responsible for her son, who still lives with her, him and his wife, and their two kids. One was like off to college. That's like a thing here, I guess. And so his mom was like, oh, what are we going to do? My sister's coming. Her husband died. They're making her leave Italy. She's supposed to come here. Y'all live in the same house. I don't know why y'all don't talk. I guess y'all just like humans everywhere else. Living in the same house, not talking to each other. 5-hour bus ride. I'm tired. So I'm just like, girl, don't even trip. And she's like, no. Okay, we got this. So the downstairs was split up into suites, essentially. And so everything had its own bathroom and, the beds and its own door that you could lock. And then upstairs, you go up some stairs, and then there's their living quarters, and they even have like more floors than that. So she's just like, stay over here. We got to figure this out. Woo, woo, woo. And it wasn't like particularly quiet. A lot of the front was windows. So like you could hear a little bit of the street noise. It wasn't a crazy busy street, but it was like busy enough. You hear kids out playing in the street. You hear somebody getting a little loud, you know what I mean? Talking to people. So I was just like, I'm not really going to stay here. So I'm on Facebook. So I trusted one stranger with my life. And I decided to trust another. So there's this guy that posted, he's like, where am I supposed to live? Like Saranda and this amount of money, and the place is too big. So who has suggestions? And they were like, come to this little town, an hour outside of Tirana. And there's this dude that lives here. He'll hook you up. So I met this old boy, and he just happened, come on, Providence. He just happened to be in Saranda at the time. So I was like, hey, I'm here and I'm looking for a place. It's struggle city in my life right now. He's like, oh yeah, I can help you. Why don't we meet up? So I go meet him. He He looked a little weird, but it's all right. This is not a life partner. This is just somebody that hooked me up. So like trustworthy enough to maybe help me find a place. So he's like, actually, I'm going back. I think it was like the next day after I met him. And I was like, nah, man, I'm tired. Like, I might come through on Monday. Just give me a minute to like rest up. And he was like, well, I mean, you could come with me right now, and that way you wouldn't have to travel alone. Woo, woo, woo. So then I'm like, well, why is he asking me to come with him now? I asked him later, and it turns out he just like don't like to travel by himself. So he was like, you could stay with me. I already know somebody that is renting a place. You could come, and then we could just stay the night with me. We're going to meet up with him next day. And I'm like, whew. If you pray to anything in anywhere, this would be the time. Okay. Because we don't like those types of stories of women traveling alone, trusting strangers on the internet. But I did, and I didn't wake up with a dick in my face, so everything's fine. Like he was a little bit off, but he's a nice dude. I hope he's not watching this right now because he does know that this is happening. Anyway, so he's like, oh no, the guy that was renting the place that I told you about, he's untrustworthy. Something is a little weird about what he got going on, but don't worry, we're going to find you somewhere. That's how I was. I was just like, whatever, just my life now. I just homeless, all this baggage in a semi-safe situation. So, but he does come through, and this dude shows me this apartment, and he trying to charge a little bit more than what I want to spend. And I'm like, if I pay you 6 months, will you like give me a discount? He's like, no. So I'm like, I don't care. I'll take it. So that's where I am now. Journey. So like they do have the websites, the Craigslist where people post. A lot of them are the real estate agents, and a lot of them are old. And there are real estate agents. Some of them wasn't even trying to mess with me because of my budget, because they work off the commission and everything, which you're supposed to pay like I think either a full month's rent I think it's like a half month's rent as the fee. Full or half, I'm not sure. So the prices that we're talking about, like a lot of the 1 bedroom, because they have those here. In Malaysia, it was different. Like everywhere was a 3 bedroom because it's super family oriented. But they actually have 1 bedrooms here. And so these 1 bedrooms, like not even studios, these 1 bedrooms are going for like, they talk in euros. So maybe like 250, 300 and up. 250, I think it's harder to find. So really you're starting at 300. So I'm paying, I just know American. So I'm paying 220 USD for my spot. So that's not including anything. Also, they do rentals here differently, of course, because they do stuff differently everywhere. So here, he's like, I asked him, I was like, so about the appliances and stuff like that. He's like, well, I'm renting it to you now and they're working. So if they stop working, like, that's your responsibility. I was like, oh, okay. I'm just buying fridges everywhere I go. Also, the internet. So let's talk money a little bit. So the internet, I went to the major players. It was like, oh, we want 2-year contracts, which in Malaysia, they kind of did that too. In other places, they don't really do that. Here, they let you. I found a company on accident who let me pay 3 months up front, and then I just pay month to month. And the internet is $10 a month. I asked about the bills. I haven't gotten those yet. So water and electricity, they say run around $30 to $40 per month, with, I guess, semi-heavy usage. So you can see it in the background. There's an air conditioning unit. The air conditioning unit is also the heat. So I only have 1, which means in the winter, my bedroom, which is in a whole nother room because it's a 1 bedroom. I don't know how that's going to work. He left some heaters here and stuff. but we'll see what's gonna happen with that. I'm a little bit scared of the cold because I ain't been like cold for real. I talk about the temperature and I tell myself it's not complaining because it's just what it is. So it's been like over 100 degrees a couple of times. And summer can go lay down in a ditch. Like, when I tell you, some people chase summer, like I think we've talked about this. Some people chase summer. I'm not interested in summer at all ever again in life, period, point blank. I don't know how else to definitively say that, but I'm not. Summer can go lay down in a ditch. So it's not the sweaty kind of summer. It's not, I'm just sitting here minding my business and sweat is trickling down my person. It's not that type. It's just, if you look the sun in the eye, you'll disintegrate kind of heat. It's just hot. And they talk about the construction of the buildings. So, that's different everywhere. They said that there is none. Like, all it is, I wonder if you could see this. Hold on. Can't really see it. So, like, this is the wall. I have it closed to keep the heat out, but it's just you and the wall. Like, there's no insulation. So in the summer, it's a bit hot on the inside. And in the winter, they say it's colder in the inside than it is outside, just because there's no insulation to keep it out. These windows are actually really good. And then they have, I will show you that. They have these special blinders. So that helps so much. So it's more than just like a curtain. It's actually like these installed joints, and they have them on every window. So that keeps the heat out quite a bit, as do the windows. So maybe it works good for the winter too. I don't know if we'll see that, but maybe we will. I never told you why Albania. So when I was leaving Malaysia and they was like, pack your things and go, pack up your knives, Shantae, you don't stay. I was looking for a country where they weren't going to hassle me about the visa. I was looking for a country that was open to begin with. I was looking for somewhere that I could possibly be comfortable in my life. Maybe. What else was I mean, those were the big ones, essentially. So Americans get 1 year in Albania, no questions asked. No paperwork, no nothing. You just roll up and you can stay up to a year without penalty. Georgia, which is a nearby neighbor, is the same. You just roll up, give you a year straight out of pocket. I chose Albania because I had heard about the welcoming culture, which we'll talk about. I also heard about the walking culture and, being inside for so long. I wanted to get out. Has that happened? Not really, which we'll talk about. And that was pretty much it. As a digital nomad, it's like having this mind frame, this mindset as a digital nomad. It means that you are open. It means that that these places aren't a forever home. It means you are not trying to create a life long term there. And like a year is short term, really, once you think about it. Because it's been 2 months and like I feel like I still don't have 10 toes down, So with that mindset, there comes where can I go? Like, what can I do and where can I go? How can I explore a place and like hang out? The benefit is like, if I don't like it, I could absolutely leave. I'll be carrying bricks again, which is a deterrent to my leaving, but I can leave because you're not signing. So, and the thing about this place is too, I didn't sign a lease. Like he was like, if you want to do paperwork, it's going to be more. And like, ain't nobody trying to do all that. But anyway, like I'm lease averse anyway. Like, give me my freedom. I don't want to stay nowhere unless I know that I want to stay there, So it is that like tasting of places and determining like how long you want to taste a place, how long you want to hang out and enjoy a place. So your mind is just a bit more open. It's not a vacation, you know, it's just a long-term exploratory. You know, maybe that's what Columbus said. Maybe I shouldn't say it like that. Let me check in and see what y'all saying. I've been talking for 800 hours. Good afternoon. So glad to catch this. Walking culture is what I'm looking for in a city. Same NYC. Walking in transit is all I know. A car will keep you poor. Just give me a city with good metro station. Good metro station is that's the real tea. Not an armpit. Yes, ma'am. It was and is probably still because I look at the temperature. Because you know how that's the thing. It lies. Like the temperature lies. The feels like you know how on the weather app it tells you the temperature and it also tells you the humidity and like what it actually feels like, what the temperature feels like. And it's always like it always feels like 100, but it's not going to be more than what, like 70 or something like that. I forgot Fahrenheit because I speak Celsius now. Commercial advertising. Yeah, they receive commercials. I drank sparkling water and was strapped into a machine that turned it. I'm missing some details. I'll show you the video, but it's related just because it was uncomfortable. It wasn't so uncomfortable after I didn't drink the sparkling water. The commercial was showing different people and it had movement in it. So I wasn't the only one to be on this machine. So it just had snippets of people in movement from this machine that we were rigged on. The commercial wasn't for the machine. The commercial was for something else. It was just an artistic choice to show the concept of, yeah. Albania has been screwed over a lot historically. Sad face, LMAO is hit and miss, trusting strangers abroad. And I never I be choosing peace. You know, I love incense and tea. And sitting with our thoughts and feelings. I'm very much that, but Rashida would tell you I will let the chopper spray sometimes, but mostly to myself. I try not to bring that on the internet, so maybe you don't know that about me, but got a bit of a bite, yeah? So I never got to cuss him out. I never even met him, the dude that was like, yeah, come down. Here goes some pictures. This is how much it is a month. I never got to cuss him out. And then I could be nothing but kind to his mama because she was old and tired and very hospitable. I didn't really finish that. So not only did she I paid her, not very much, but I paid her how much I would have paid at a hostel. I paid her to stay there, but she was like walking up and down the street with me like, hey, you got somewhere? Let me ask my neighbor. Hey, you got somewhere? Hey, you got somewhere? She even had like their old apartment before they built this, because she built that from the ground up. Her old apartment where they used to be. And it was like a 3-bedroom. Was it 3? It was a 2-bedroom. It was just a bit older and like not updated, and I didn't like the vibes. So, and all the furniture was old too. Yeah. But like she did that. And I was like, oh, that's really nice of you. And she even like messaged me after because she was like, I think she was worried about me. Like, is she gonna find a place? And so she was like really, really sweet. All of that was going on. So I'm trying to, show up in the group. I'm trying to keep the podcast going. I had so much stuff to catch up on from being essentially like out of commission, because I just had no idea it would take. I've lived in different countries and never in my Black life have I had to encounter an accommodation situation like that. Everything else is smooth. Everything else is fine. But like that was like making me not want to. I was looking at tickets. I was like, how much is it to get to Georgia? Because I'm looking at, they don't even have, a lot of times you could find places on Facebook too. Like And I'm looking at these, I joined those groups too, and I'm seeing all these posts for places that were within my budget and like really cute. And I was like, well, what am I doing here? Like, this is too hard. I'm giving up. It's not supposed to be this hard. I am receiving all the good things. I'm not receiving this. It's not good. Yeah, 220 per month. Not a week. Who? Michelle. Oh, girl. Yeah, 2-year contracts. Ugh. When I get internet abroad, do I also rent a modem? A lot of times the companies determine that whether you need to buy the equipment or not. This one didn't. There was no installation price. And I had to pay cash. Like they wouldn't even take a card or nothing, which blew my mind. So, yeah, $30 up front. That's a lot of bills, you know, when you go to the ATM, it's like, make you feel a little. I'm gonna show y'all the currency and stuff. And then, hold on a second. Hold on. So this is how they pay their bills here. So again, they do stuff differently in every country. So this is for the internet. So all they did was like notate that I paid for like the 3 months or whatever. So like I know when to go pay again, and I just take my little booklet so they could note that I paid for the month and keep getting service. Oops. And they did it in like the same day too. Like I went there and it was like, oh, we ain't got no more space today and we'll hook you up tomorrow. And I was like, all right. But then they actually called later and was like, we coming through. And I was like, okay. So yeah, for the modem, they didn't charge anything. They didn't charge an installation fee. They was just like, take it and never talk to us again. And it's been great. People worry about internet quite a bit, but from my experience, or maybe it's just the places I've traveled to, because I know that internet is historically terrible in some places, and maybe I just don't go to those places, either by choice or just because I haven't wound up there. But anyway, it's just not an issue. I have used internet from my phone. You know how you could tether your phone internet for your laptop? I've done that. I don't remember why or when, but even that was pretty good wherever I was. It must have been in Southeast Asia, I think. So yeah. Boycott summer. A ditch. Where's the shovel? I care not. You and a wall. It's just you and a wall. The leave from Malaysia was visa. So, you know, we're guests. And I think that we have learned how much we are guests in other people's countries, particularly when people don't allow you into the country. Like, oh, you have this kind of passport. No, thank you, but no. No. So they was like, the whole last year, Malaysia was like, oh, girl, you good, chill. It's COVID. You know, a lot of these streets is closed. We got you. Don't worry about it. And then they was like, all right, you need to leave next week. There was like the whole time, we'll give you 2 weeks. Whenever this movement control order is lifted, which it never was lifted, which was controlling the movement of people. Whenever this is lifted, then we'll give you 2 weeks to get out. We don't care if your visa is expired, because everybody's visa was expired by that point. And so all of a sudden they just popped up. And yeah, I'll tell y'all more about that later. Because we in this new country now. Why was Georgia on my short list? Again, because Georgia had the same joint as Albania. You get a year, no questions asked. And it's the birthplace of wine, apparently. I don't think it's advertised as that, but like they talk about the wine scene a lot. And I was like, do you really want to travel somewhere just so you could crawl up in a vat of wine? And I was like, actually, yeah. Actually, my priorities are in line with my values. So yeah, that sounds like me all day. But and this is something I don't usually do. I think I just like put it into YouTube, Georgia or something like that. And then like some of these racism videos popped up. I never historically have looked up race relations in the country before I go there, just because I'm gonna go there and it's gonna be what it is. I'm American. What you gonna do? So, um, yeah. So I guess maybe that kind of subconsciously turned me off a little bit to Georgia. Um, Durrës has great beaches in Albania. There's a lot of great beaches throughout the coast. I forget what they call it. You know how they have the French Riviera? They call it something similar, but I don't know if I'll ever get to them because I'm really busy. And because Delta, Theta, Gamma is running through these streets. And when I tell you these people do not care, they don't care about a curfew. They didn't care when there was a mask mandate. And in these family centered cultures, you know, that's where that stuff, it's like a match being lit. That thing take off like whoa. If you look on Google, like I just would Google Albania COVID, like they have a little chart that pops up, and like the numbers was practically non-existent for a while, and now you're seeing a little bit of an uptick with those cases coming in. I'm also not able to get the vaccine. I've heard a couple people slipping through, but they ask for a resident permit, which I do not have because I'm on a tourist visa. But that is a benefit of being a resident. And from what I hear, like the residency process is pretty easy if you wanted to go that route, if you wanted to stay more than the year. They speak English. A lot of the world speaks English, but like not really, not for real, for real. Um, what it usually is like the younger folks get down a little bit more than the older. Because it's in Europe, you have some other languages. Some people speak the language from Greece. I guess it's called Greek. Some people speak Italian, especially the older. I think that was in the school system at some point. And then you have like some Germans, some whatever. A lot of Albanians leave Albania because they're looking for opportunities to make money. And I guess they send quite a bit of money back, which is an income stream for the country as well, from what I've read. Don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. I live in an expensive state. I needed more context. Yes, girl, I get you. $220 per month. I'm not from Atlanta. I lived there for like 10 years. I was born and raised in Southern Illinois in a little town called Marion. What y'all saying? The internet quality is really good compared to your Malaysian live streams. Don't talk. Okay, Michelle. Don't talk. No, you can't. It's fine. Yeah, they do have portable hotspots. Some people invest in those. I think Stephanie was just talking about that recently too. I've never bought one. Never. But internet is like a priority to me too. You haven't had the internet struggle. Internet Malaysia is super fast. Estimated monthly expenses for rent, internet, utilities, phone, laundry. So, in different places, different stuff comes with the place. So there's a washing machine here. A lot of the rest of the world don't use dryers, which is actually the plug because dryers use a lot of energy. They consume a lot of electricity. So what they do is they like hang their clothes to dry. They have like these drying racks, which is so brilliant and saves money. But so I have a washer. So the only thing I'd be paying for is the $10 per month for internet. And then the estimated amount from the previous owner is like maybe 30, 40, maybe 50. I'm not really sure. I don't use a lot. I just have a fan. I haven't even used the aircon. I'm not personally hot, generally speaking. Like I'm not sitting here sweating to death. I do feel some of the heat from outside, but I'm not hot. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but like I just know it's hot, versus it being not hot or even cool. And it really messes with my brain. So I've been looking into this, like summer depression is like a thing. I don't know that I'm depressed per se, but I find myself very groggy. I find myself very unclear very lethargic, which makes me depressed because I got things to do. Okay. But yeah, which I've never experienced. I didn't have that in Malaysia. Um, and my skin freaked out when I got here too. So I was already developing eczema in Malaysia, and like I have this little cream that stops the itching and like tries to help heal. I don't know if you can really see this, but I have a spot on my hand there. You can see it a little bit, but it's like a dry patch. And I was like, what is going on? So like I went to the pharmacy, they throw some stuff at me, I put it on, and it kind of gets better, but like not really. So all you can do pretty much from what I've experienced is make it stop itching and heal the spot so that it's not inflamed, because it gets like inflamed and like bumpy. I know, right? So I'm pretty much having to coat myself in goat milk every day. No, but when I got here, I had to buy, because it was much cooler in temperature. I had to buy lotion and like really, really lather up. My cycle also changed. I don't know. We're adults. These are things we talk about. My cycle changed, so I was like super early. It like kicked it off, and I'd never experienced that before. I'd done from Ireland to Vietnam and like nothing happened. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm just breaking down. Also, my hair was super, super dry. Like in Malaysia, like you just touch it and it's just like rolling all on the floor. You got little hair tumbleweeds. Here that doesn't happen as much, but it's also still dry. So I had to go to the pharmacy in addition to like getting more cream. That I have like a little pill that I take to help with that. And then also I'm having to just be a lot more conscious. Usually I only wash once a week, but I had to start like doing the conditioner at least twice a week. So, I'm just sitting up in here. I put a little plastic bag over my head, just like, just trying to keep myself moisturized, drying from the inside out. Another thing people are concerned about a lot of times is healthcare when it comes to traveling. And it's like, ain't nobody raking people over like America's raking people over, even when it comes to dental. That's why you have medical and dental tourism, is because it is so much more affordable. So a lot of times you can go to the pharmacy and get what you need versus like having to go through a doctor for some stuff. Not that I recommend that, you have your life in your own hands. So do you, boo. But yeah. Just mentioning that, by the way. So I was able to get what I needed for my skin and in this case, my hair here. Teresa said, how did they find you? Malaysia visa people, they came to your door, sent you an email. It doesn't work like that. Countries don't have time to really track people down like that unless you're a criminal, I think. I don't really know. But like, ain't nobody checking for you, generally speaking. They let you in the country and like, you just there. It's up to you to understand if you are violating their visa laws. So they said anybody on a tourist visa got to go. You could try and extend it, which I did for a month, but that still had to be within their process and within their system. So there are lots of websites that tell you how much a country gives you off top, but it is absolutely and always up to you to keep track of that, because if you violate that, you could pay a fine, which some people don't have a problem with. Sometimes they charge X amount of money per day. So you have to look that up, or they can ban you from the country for so many years. They can exile you. And that was absolutely a conversation I had when I was at immigration in Malaysia. Because I was like, I don't care, because I'll never want to come back here again because y'all rusty. I kind of said that, but I don't get too froggy, but I did kind of say that. Come on, Illinois. I guess nobody wears jeans there. They take so long to air dry. They do. But like stuff be drying like that. And yeah, I don't know about the winter. That's a whole nother story. And a lot of times there are problems with air drying stuff in a cold and wet. So that remains to be seen. I know that's a like mold on clothes and stuff like that. When I lived in El Salvador for 6 months, like that could be an issue during like the rainy season and stuff like that. Like it's raining or it's a wet environment and you have wet clothes. How does it dry? And like, yeah, that's a problem sometimes. I guess it depends on the climate, the time of year. Maybe my iron is low. I maybe the water is definitely hard. So the water here is not potable, which means it's not drinkable. Like the locals don't even drink it straight out the faucet. It has a lot of calcium, um, which I kind of knew, but I didn't know. When I first got here, I didn't have a water filter. And I don't even think I have the best water filter now. It's just like a Brita pitcher that came with the place. But I didn't know how to whatever. So I was boiling water for tea and I like noticed some stuff on top and I was like, oh, that's the oils and the essence from these flowers and branches and leaves that I just put in here to boil. But actually it was calcium sitting on top. Um, so yeah, I had to figure out my water filtration thing. Again, this is the only country I've been to where it's been like that. So like a lot of people just buy, these big jugs or actual bottles of water, which is not sustainable, but what you gonna do? Drying your skin and hair. Yeah, what pill? Because my hair stays dry. Actually, but it's not gonna be in English. So that's the other thing. Is like, yeah, you can go get whatever you want from the pharmacy, but you may not have the brand that you're used to. And this cost me $10 for 30 days. It's called Regen Forte. I don't know if you can see that. Regen Forte. That light is lighting, ain't it? I just went and told the pharmacist, I was like, hey, this is what happened to me. Do you think you do something about it? And he was like, here, take this. He spoke English, so it was good. Okay, so I have a list of stuff to talk to you guys about. That was the story. That is from when I left up until now. So you know how people be like, Malaysia, Albania gets a lot of credit for having friendly people, but I'm not really sure what they mean when they say that. And I think this is white people that are saying that, and I think they have a different barometer for what friendly is. You know how Black people have our culture, and it's kind of different throughout the diaspora, but like there are a lot of things that are the same. When you enter a room, you speak to people. When I don't know, what else is a Black people thing? I don't know, you excuse me. You don't stand too close to somebody you don't know. You know what I mean? We believe in space. It's cultural nuances like that. And I was kind of thinking about this, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say it like this, but you know how there are autistic people who have problems with those nuances in culture, even if it's their own culture. And I was thinking how being in a different culture is a bit like being autistic. Please don't burn me if I'm not supposed to say that, but that's how it feels because you don't know what the cultural norms are. You don't know the correct way that people are. You just know what you think is polite. You know what you think is normal. So for example, like if I'm walking up the block, I speak to people. Hey, how you doing? They will not speak to you if you don't speak to them. They will not smile at you if you do not smile at them. So like, what do you mean by friendly? Like, have I found people to be particularly helpful? Not really. And sometimes it's a language thing. People are shy to speak English with you. In Asia, they're shy to be wrong. And like, they don't want to tell you something that's not true or whatever. So maybe they won't speak up. Like, they don't want to be wrong. So I'm still figuring that part out. What do you mean by friendly? In what ways are they friendly? Have I been invited to somebody's house? No. Do I want to? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. So where I live is communist housing. And that was also something I was curious about. What does communism mean? What did it look like? So back in communism, these people lived under communism for 40 years. So you have people who are around 30 years old now, who have lived their entire lives out of communism. But the effects of it, I'm sure, are super strong. So when they were under communism rule, they could have no religion, they could have no freedom of speech. There were political executions, there were imprisonment, there were labor camps. They had no personal freedoms. They were closed off to outside influences. They could not travel abroad, and they could not own private property. And when it came to women, well, we always have a different thing. Domestic violence was allowed, of course, and they were not allowed to get abortions. They were, in fact, expected to have children. And so I read about like orphanages or women just dying from trying to give themselves abortions, or doctors being imprisoned because they gave a woman an abortion, stuff like that. It's a super patriarchal society, and what that looks like is men run it. So they have a cafe culture here as well. What that looks like is you'll see 30,000 different cafes, and some of them like have different, um, decor and stuff like that, but they all serving the same thing. And none of them have menus, like pretty much. So you just go to a place and you have no idea. Like, I'm new, like I don't know what y'all got. And if you're not ordering the little cafe, little espresso, that's what it's called, espresso, and the little tiny Demitas glass cup, mug, whatever it's called. If you're not ordering that, apparently they don't know you. So like I tried to order what was it? A latte. A latte. You think that's super normal. They brought it to me lukewarm with the blue straw. And I was like, what am I, 5 years old? Like, why are you? But maybe that's how they saw it, because they're like, oh, she can't take espresso. Like, let me throw some milk with this espresso, make it lukewarm. So that was really interesting. What else? They have a beer culture. So you got a lot of older men walking around with beer bellies. Beers are like $1, literally, $1. And you see the men out. So these cafes are hordes of men. And you will rarely see women out. You will almost never see a woman alone sitting at a cafe, from what I've seen anyway. Where they at? Where are the women? They at work, they at home with their kids. So there's this thing, there's also like a bit of a virgin culture still, where you're supposed to go get you a virgin, where if a man and a woman are seen in public together, they're assumed to be together and maybe even betrothed, like engaged or whatever. There used to be like arranged marriages. I don't know how long ago that was, but that used to be a thing. They're very affectionate in public when you do see people who are together, with the hand holding and maybe the kissing and just touching in general. And, that's super different from Asia, because they don't do that at all. What else? The women are like, they trying to get it in, full face of makeup. They wearing the dresses, they wearing the heels. Some of them are some baddies. They got some baddies up and through here, and they a bit shapely too. What do Albanians look like? They're just, it's not like I couldn't give you the blonde hair, blue eyes. I couldn't give you the dark Roman features. It's hard to say. They just, I don't know. They just white. I don't know what to tell you. They're not dark skinned either. So I've been very precious with my foundation, because that's not something I even thought about. In Malaysia, I could find my shade. I was the end of the shade, but I could find my shade. But you see hip hop culture here, because, we everywhere. So you will hear hip hop music in their language, in Albanian, which is ship, which I don't know how to really say that, but I think that's how you say that, because it's Shiptar. Shiptar means land of eagles. So the flag, if you saw my thumbnail, for this video, it's the red flag with the double-headed eagle. So it's the land of eagle, children of eagles. And that double-headed eagle is supposed to be a symbol for bravery, valor, freedom, and heroism. But the men, they just, I mean, well, it depends on what kind of beauty standard you're going by. They don't personally do it for me. They're not a particularly tall people either. They ain't Asian short, but they're not tall people. I guess they about average. I don't know what average is really anymore. But they just all right. So I met a black girl in Tirana and, she had gotten around a little bit. They get fades. Yeah, so that's popular. They're not a long hair kind of people either. The men get fades, literal fades. She said they are thick, in a word that rhymes with thick. She said it's basically like dating a black man. But we talked about money a little bit. The income is not all the way alive. So a lot of them live at home. And so you have a lot of man babies. From my perspective, my point of view, they seem to have quite a bit of confidence, but they live at home with their mama and their mama fixing them sandwiches and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then they just get married and the wife does that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So communism kind of equaled things out in terms of like literacy and women being able to vote and have jobs and stuff like that. But there's still some of that other stuff. Also, LGBTQ underground, got to be underground. That is not socially acceptable. Because they are so family centric, like the reputation of the family like means something. And protecting that reputation means something. And that's why like women aren't supposed to be seen with men that they're not committed to, I guess. Although like, I don't know, I met a couple dudes and they was cheating. So these are dudes that I met through the commercial or whatever. But the men seem like quite reserved as well. Like they're not like, hey mama, hey baby. I mean, I've been looked at and maybe heard a yeet yeet, from the street or whatever every now and then, but largely like they're very reserved. Yeah. So there's still some things I'm trying to wrap my mind around. Like these ghost women, I would really love to know. I even thought about like putting on an event, but nah. I'd be tired. I like doing stuff like that normally, but I don't know if I got the time for it. Okay, let me see what y'all saying. Does Amazon deliver? That is always the number one question in these expat groups when you join. Apparently they do. Usually there's like a import tax associated with it sometimes. And the delivery is super slow from what I remember reading. Sometimes they have their local version, which is usually a better option for you. So yes and no. What industries are there? That is a good question. And I don't think I know that. So I had to look that up. I don't know. Because like I said, a lot of people leave the country. So you just have like these cafes, you have the restaurants. Oh, olive oil and olives. So I think agriculture is pretty big. From what I've seen, a lot of this is farming land. Like you could hardly throw a rock and not hit an olive tree. There's so many, and I'm in love. I've been getting my olive on. Okay, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. Also like fruit. I've been chowing down on some watermelon. So good. Oh, so food. We gotta talk about food. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what else they into. So I had to look that up. Excellent question, Robin. Thank you for that. The food is bomb. Like I am living my best life. This is the life I imagined for myself. It is so good. Robin was talking about how she had never fancied Greek food, but when she went to Greece, it was all of that. And I cannot tell you the taste of fresh mushrooms. Fresh mushrooms. So I'm a vegetarian, so it's only so much I can tell y'all about. But the produce is like top tier. I don't know why it tastes so good. I don't know why, but it tastes so good. Like tomatoes, and I had strawberries, and there was cherry season, and watermelons, and it's a very seasonal driven kind of place, you know, eating what's in season at the time. They are a fresh salad kind of people. The food has influences from Greece, Turkey, and Italy, maybe some other places. You know, these land borders are man-made. So like Kosovo and Montenegro, I believe share sometimes a language and a culture when it comes to food. A lot of times I'll be looking up something because I look up everything in life and it'll be like, this has an origin in Turkey, or this was associated with Turkey, or whatever it is. So sometimes it's hard to tell what actually is Albanian, because you do, like, you get I had this pizza the other day with, it had arugula, and it was just I was like, am I in Italy? Am I living the best of both worlds? And I was. Calzones, calzone. They have like a fresh local cheese. Can we talk about cheese? Oh my God. The cheese is so good. It's like the typical cheese, but then they have like other cheeses that they make. I usually just get like the local cheese or whatever. Did I tell you about the store? So there's a store downstairs. It's right outside my building, which is extremely convenient because I live actually quite a bit from the actual city. It's maybe like a 10-minute brisk walk. So there's a store downstairs that just has, it's not like it's a mom and pop shop, which I like. I got a bodega. I never had a bodega before. So there's a bodega downstairs, and she sells, like, it's the same woman usually all the time, every day. She never stops working. She has some fresh produce in there. She has some, you know, regular products that they use for cleaning. And then she even has some meat. I saw one, the beers, and they are a yogurt culture. So, and they have them in these bottles that are, if you can remember, like the old school milk bottles, like the glass ones, but they sell it in like plastic ones shaped like that. So it's not, they have the tubs too, but like usually it's that. And I was like, that's interesting. You can't really scoop yogurt out of that, but you can pour it out, you know. Yogurt culture, cheese culture, pasta culture, bakery culture. So you got your fresh breads. They don't season anything. Like, it's like, I don't know that they know about salt yet. Salt used to be like coveted, you know, maybe even before the communism times where, you know, you have to queue up for bread and stuff like that. There used to be a tradition where you greeted someone with fresh bread and a thing of salt, because salt was, I guess, expensive. So I don't know that they have let go of that trauma yet and started putting it in the food. So sometimes, like, it's when I eat out, if it's not Italian or Greek, like their fast food, it could be a little bit bland. But their traditional dishes, I think it's like Albanian soul food. So I went to this restaurant in Tirana, and I was really excited. I went back a couple times afterwards too. When I first went, I was like, okay, boom, I want this and I want that and I want that. I got like 3 or 4, maybe 3 different dishes. And then the server came back to me and she was like, the cook said that this is too much food for one person. So like, we're just going to give you a half portion of this and a half portion of that. And I was like, serve it up. And I still took a takeaway box. Like, you take 2 bites and you're just like, thoroughly full. The cheese culture here is insane. I'll show you guys pictures and videos and stuff later of what the traditional food looks like. But it is so filling. It is like it's like a hug. And you know, I like food to hug me. Food was hugging me a little bit too much. Because you know, in Asia it's just cooked, everything's cooked. Unless you're in Thailand, like they do have some fresh garnish stuff that they use with their food. But it's the rice and the noodles and it's cook, 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 you know, the soups, cook, cook, cook. So here it's just like, some, you know, a little bit of freshness in my life. Picky girl, Miss Adelia, she said, you're trying to figure out how much to move, which may or may not be culturally acceptable. Yeah. So like if I say hello to men, like, you know, some cultures you say hello to men or you make a little bit too long of eye contact, they think you trying to get down. And like, no, I was just being friendly, or what I thought was friendly. So I really don't know about some stuff. I don't know that I've offended anybody yet either, but yeah. I tried to ask the lady because they're super curious about me, like, oh, you're here alone. They don't speak any English. They speak exactly zero English, which is fine because I speak 3 words of Albanian. But they're trying to figure out like who I was and like what was going on. They're like, you're here alone? Or like, oh, it must be so hot in the apartment because I'm on the top floor. I'm on the 5th. It's a walk up, by the way. I said I wanted to move more, but I feel like the princess stuck in the tower sometimes. So I'm like, girl, who trying to go up all them stairs when I can go down, but I got to come back up. Woo, I'll be having to stop, especially if I have like my watermelon, my groceries and stuff. I'll be like, oh, anyway. So they're like trying to figure out like what I'm about. I was trying to ask them like, is there a cafe that the ladies go to? And they were just like, they didn't understand the words that were coming out of my face. I try to use Google Translate, the app, and that works for the most part. It'll get you by. And then they just be frustrated because there's some stuff that they want to know that I can't tell them. I say they, there's usually one lady, and then there's this other lady, and she's just like a fireball. She's like, she don't care. She just keep talking to me, and she just say whatever, and I'll be trying to figure out what she be talking about. And she be trying to figure out what I'm talking about. She want me to find her a man in America. She figured out how to communicate that much. Okay. She even brought in one of the babies. Oh my goodness. She brought one of the babies to the store to have them translate for her, to ask me to find her a man in America. She was determined. I appreciate that. I told her I would find her one too. I like a challenge. Friendly doesn't always mean welcoming or comforting. Okay. That's what Southerners say when they come to NYC, that we're unfriendly and don't greet. And then I like too, somebody was talking about the difference in friendliness between New York and LA, or like California, I think in general. And I don't remember what the comparison is, so that doesn't help this conversation, but it was basically like, it's a 2 different kind of friendly. Like a New Yorker will dig your car out and then walk away and like not expect a thanks or anything, versus I think they would say thank you and maybe not do so much for you over there. I don't know. I wonder if folks are mistaking friendly for treating them a certain way because it's assumed they have money. That part, you know, these groups, and I that's why I have the digital nomad group, because you'll find when you're traveling or when you're researching, everybody has a different slant. There's a different support system. There's a different focus. So if you are moving to a place for a job, you have an infrastructure and there's a lot less questions because a lot of it is already set up for you, right? If you are an expat, meaning, and you know how these immigrant, expat, all that, whatever. If you are someone from one country moving to another country and you intend to live there, then it's going to be a different focus. You don't have the infrastructure, but you also may have financial means, like a pension or retirement, or maybe even a business, or maybe you're working online, but I think that those kind of folks just have more money versus a digital nomad who, I don't know, may not be looking to relocate specifically to that place. So like your needs are going to be different and a lot more short term or short term options, which this place does not necessarily provide so easily, the short term options. Not on the surface anyway. And like in the groups, you'll see a lot of that. Like, oh, I'm looking to stay for a place 1 to 2, 3 months, and you're gonna pay for that too. The short term. What are my plans in Albania? I mean, I'm doing it. It's not Albania, it's just me wherever I go. Like the thing when I first left 5 years ago, when I first left America, and I was in London, it wasn't a I'm out. Yes. It was a let me build this website. Let me learn HTML. Let me play around with this. Let me play around with that. Let me blog. I used to do a lot of stuff when I first started. And all of that came to whatever I'm doing right now, the podcast, the group, the conference, and soon the awards, the Black Women Travel Awards. So it wasn't enough to be out. And that's also kind of been my focus, not kind of, that has also been my focus with the digital nomad group is like, leaving is great. Leaving is fine. This becomes your new normal, right? You're translating bills. You're trying to figure out the kilowatt hours in another country, essentially. What are you doing to express yourself and experience fulfillment? What are you doing to enjoy the life and the choices that you've made? What are you doing to let go of all the stuff that doesn't serve you anymore? How are you freeing up space for you to be more yourself? And for me, that's just what travel has been, the ability to be more myself without having to wear the woman, without having to wear the Black, without having to wear the family line that I came from and what that has and hasn't provided. I've just been able to just be more me. And it's quite possible that I could have done that in Atlanta, where I was living before I left. But I feel like I tried and like I just, it's like the belt when you eat a little bit too much, like it just wasn't, it wasn't really coming together, in a way that I've been able to experience it elsewhere. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, Janelle. I totally understand virgin culture. It's a social construct. And so speaking of like the male women relations, when I was coming to see this apartment, there were quite a few people, and I was like, that looks like a funeral. They just hanging out, drinking, talking. There were some chairs out in the stairway. So I was like, that looks like a funeral. I think it was a funeral. And I was asking somebody else later because the women were wearing black. And I was like, so when someone dies, like what happens is like the woman wears black. What does the man do? And the dude I asked, he was like, they get another wife. And it's just like, yeah, okay, bye. Okay, we good. I get another wife. Oh, that's great. Italian man. I mean, it's possible. The topic I've been waiting for. Yes, all the good food. A lot of Kosovars are ethnic Albanians. Yes, that is a thing. They even come here for a vacation quite a bit. I think that's also a thing. There's a huge connection there. Albania is also majority Muslim. So Adelia I mentioned that Albania has kind of been run through by everybody. And, when people come, usually they bring their gods with them. Before, I think Albanians was just like a lot of cultures, hanging out in the bushes, drinking teas and herbal remedies, and all of a sudden they pagans, right? So Islam is the majority, culturally speaking. That is, especially maybe because of the communist stint, because there was no religion allowed to be practiced. It's not culturally a thing. So from what I've been told, Like when Ramadan rolls around, like there was a Muslim holiday recently, like from what I've seen, and they like to drink. So there's also like a local liquor made from grapes. It's called raki, Raki. And it's you could probably put it in your car and you'd be good to go. That stuff is tough. I've had like a nicer one, but it was still tough. They like to drink, so like I've seen a few hijabs, but a very small few. I've seen a group dedicated to, Muslims or whatever, here in Albania. So I don't think like practicing like it's a real, not a real thing, but it's like I've also heard people say inshallah, sometimes it's a part of the culture. That's something else that I've come to find out. Is like religion is tainted deeply by the culture and how those people interpret the religion. And that's why I don't believe in people, because y'all just be messing stuff up. Because I don't think that's what it was supposed to be, but do you, boo. So that's why you will see different expressions of different religions in different places, even in the United States. Within the state, you have Pentecostals that have different rules just because people interpret them differently. So yeah, but I'm still not able to suss out specifically like how much the Islamic culture here plays a factor into who they are as a people. They have 3 UNESCO sites here. What else did I want to tell y'all about? Oh, music. Well, I told you there's quite a bit of hip hop, like rap, trap music I've even heard in their language. Fun fact. So the movie The Fifth Element, the blue diva that was singing, the actress wasn't from here, but the actual opera singer that was singing that song, she's Albanian. She's still alive. Like, come on, history in the making. Also, one of your favorite spiritual leaders, Mother Teresa, has Albanian roots. Her, like Adelia was saying, the Kosovar Albanian connection. So her parents were Albanian through Kosovo or something like that. Also, the Blues Brothers, the Belushi brothers, Jim and John, I think, Jim and John Belushi, their parents were Albanian immigrants. They was out of Chi-Town. I did talk about the alcohol and the beer, but like I haven't really seen folks like drunk. Like men, I guess men. I haven't really seen the women drinking. Maybe they be drinking. I don't know. But I haven't seen like the men getting like rowdy. There's one street in my town. There's one street where they shut down every evening so that everybody could take their evening stroll. But mostly you might see the man with the family, but for the most part, you'll see it segregated. Men either walking alone or with other men, and like the women with their kids or the family women. I don't know. Maybe they're friends sometimes too. Also, women, it wasn't like looked upon kindly if they smoke. Everybody smokes here. Everybody smokes here. Everybody. It's everywhere in my nostrils all the time, every day. Somebody asked me why I don't start smoking. I was like, why? You smoke for me. It would be healthier if I started, actually, probably. And we talked about the bills and stuff like that. Okay. So I think we got through most of the information. She said, be more myself, be more like me. I like that. Does the country location help me to be me? That is an excellent question. In Asia, I felt repressed. You see a bit of who I am. I got a little flair to me, and these people are not like that. They're not expressive. I could even see it. Like I was doing a little bit of work. Don't tell the government. I was doing a little bit of work at a aftercare center. They wanted someone to help with this performance that they were doing. They are huge on these end of the year performances with the costumes and the music and all that stuff, the skits. So I was helping like with some of the movements and like a little bit of the pronunciation. And you could see at that young how hammered they already are into the culture. It's incredible. It's incredible to witness the making of culture, how generation after generation people are indoctrinated into a certain way of seeing things. Like I cut my hair and this boy couldn't have been more. I used to have like long locks. Part of why I cut my hair was because they were just dry, and I didn't want to be the dry brush fire walking around in Asia. This little boy was like, "Why you cut your hair? Men like long hair." First of all, you snaggletooth. Go grow a tooth and then come talk to me about what I'm supposed to do. You know, I can't say this, but get out of my face. But I thought that was super interesting. Men like long hair. And like a lot of the aunties, you know, the older women, they wear short hair anyway. So who is your daddy? Why is he talking to you? Or who is your mother? I think it's the daddy though. They don't be around, but when they be around, whatever. Um what else was it? You could see that wanting to get it rightness. So one of the girls was messing up. She couldn't hit her mark. she couldn't deliver the line. So the principal who hired me, she was just like, okay, we're gonna get another one, and like push the little girl out the way. Of course, the little girl starts crying because she's messed up. She's hurt. She's rejected. She's experiencing trauma in real time, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And boy, that don't set well with me at all. Ooh, so like that was a point of contention that we had to talk about. I also saw someone had paid for a private tutor for tennis table. It's tennis table, but they don't believe in things for fun. Everything is supposed to get you somewhere. This is a majority Chinese population, by the way. So if you're thinking Malaysian, you got to be specific. Even though they call themselves Malaysian, they're very much rooted within whatever culture that is. The Malay Muslims, the Indians, the Chinese. You also have the people who are originally there who have no say whatsoever because they off in the bushes somewhere on government property because they've been pushed there. We all know how that works. But so this it was a Chinese student and a Chinese tutor, table tennis, and he made a mistake, and I have no idea what it was, but it was so bad. It was so bad that this man put this young boy, he could have been maybe like 11, maybe 12, had him stand on his tiptoes with a tennis ball underneath both of his heels and like squatted down, torture style. And then he had like a long something and he was hitting him with it. I don't know what was so bad that he had to punish him in that way, but that's the making of the culture. That's in the moment. It's that get it right. They're also not very expressive people, and yeah. So are places able to help you to be more of yourself? Possibly. It may be easier for you to express yourself. It's like here, like I feel the like, am I gonna go sit at a cafe with all them N words? Probably not. Not because I'm afraid of how they'll see me, but just because I don't know, that's just not comfortable to me. It doesn't feel welcoming to me to be around all that kind of energy, you know? So some places you're able to more easily express yourself, I think, versus others where you may be impacted by the cultural things spoken and unspoken. So yeah. What is the view outside your window like? I really should have, I wish my setup would have worked. Mountains. Albania is a giant mountain, essentially, and you just bobbing and weaving in between all these peaks and valleys. So where I am is pretty flat, but it's just mountains and mountains full of produce and villages and It's real cute. It's super cute. The sunsets are really nice. The reprieve here in the weather. So I told you it gets to be 100 plus recently. That's not all the time. That's just maybe weeks at a time for a couple of weeks. But there's the nicest breeze from the mountains in the evening, and it is completely delicious and refreshing. So I always look forward. I'm a night girl now. Bring on the night. Janelle said, I hear about you doing and figuring it out. It's hard to plan your life in your own state country. You need distance for reflection and action. And I think that is absolutely true in some cases. I think about that when it comes to the nomad group quite a bit. And some of the ladies who are trying to put these pieces together. And I think that's why there's always, or it seems to be always, this reaching for information for people who are doing it, for people who look like them, for conferences, for blogs, for vlogs, for stuff like this, because it is hard to imagine sometimes what you haven't been able to experience. A vacation is not the same as relocating. And so you are looking for that feeling, you are looking for that connection, you are trying to see it in your mind. But that can also keep you from doing what you need to do to get there. So when I left, I left twice. I left in 2010, came back, ran out of money, ran out of faith, ran out of belief in myself to be able to make that lifestyle happen. And then I got myself together because Atlanta wasn't it. So I did the same thing, but I set a date and I had money. So I put the energy into it. Money is energy. Also, the things that you do and don't do are energy when it comes to, am I going to sign a lease for a year? No, because I'm leaving. Am I going to buy this or that? No, because I'm leaving and I'm not taking those things with me. All of that is energy. Every single decision that you make up until that point, of course, with grace, because we're human. So I think that was the thing that made it a reality, to make this my new norm. And it's been 5 years and it's been ups and downs and those savings ran out, but I'm still here and I'm still going and I'm still figuring it out. But I'm also not in the place where my story of origin originated. And I think that is an advantage. And I know that it's scary because money is real to a lot of these people out here in the world, right? Money is real. And there's the fear of homelessness. There's the fear of failing. There's the fear of starting over from scratch, which I did. But I also did that with a bit of intention when I did come back in 2010. I was out for like 9 months, El Salvador and Jamaica. And it was a matter of me saying, I'm not going to live how I lived here before. And so a lot of things changed. I have a different focus. And so a lot of things changed. So like, it's also possible, but I don't know if it would have been possible if I hadn't left in the first place. This trip now, this lifestyle that I created now is possibly only the way it is now because I went through what I went through in 2010. As Black women, a lot of times we don't give ourselves the freedom to make mistakes because we haven't had a lot. And those mistakes have come with big consequences, huge consequences that are generational a lot of times. So I think for us, it takes just a bit of, not a bit, it takes a few other things packed in with the stuff you already got to do in order to give yourself the boost that you need to make this a reality. That's why the sabbaticals, I think, are the gateway drug, right? They're the gateway for you being able to get out there in the streets. Once you plan for that, then people say a year and I laugh a little bit because it's just like, is it really going to be a year? I guess it depends on where you start off, right? So yeah. there are some things to consider too whenever you're making that happen. And sometimes you don't know what you need until you get out there. For some, a local community is really important, and with good reason, because it'd be tough out in these streets sometimes. Like if I hadn't have met that stranger on the internet who turned out to be very nice, just a little bit off, I wouldn't have this place. Like I'm 3,000% confident that nobody else was trying to hear nothing, you know, like that was the only avenue that I had. So it's like sometimes that local community can be of actual support. And sometimes we're not used to that. I think that when you are away from your home country, where you are used to figuring everything out on your own and more than likely being successful at that in some capacity, when you're out here, a lot of times you are a lot more open to needing help, I guess, if that's the right way to say it. You're in a position where you need a bit more help than you would if you were at home. And I don't know collectively if we're used to receiving that kind of help. But yeah. So, yeah. If it is within your desire, it is, and this is always the point, is that it's possible. It's possible. And sometimes when you're out, depending on what you prepared yourself with, it can be quite a bit of pressure, depending on where your money is, right? And depending on your risk tolerance as well, and being able to bet on yourself. So it's very nuanced. Sometimes people ask for information, but a lot of this is super individual, because I don't know what you're coming with. I don't know what you've experienced into your life up to this point. I don't know how much trust you've built within yourself to be able to carry yourself through, how many things that you've done to show yourself that you are real about the things that you want. I also don't know the traumas that you come from and what are some things that are triggering to you. And if a place really will vibe with you, as travelers, we just be like, that sound cute, book a ticket, go, you know, but you never know with your hair, with your skin tone, with your features, what with your ancestors, what that place is going to offer you in terms of experience, how people are going to view you. So I people want the nice and the sweet and the packaged and the, you know, the guides and the get up and go. But I think that a little bit of caution is necessary. Like a little bit, not too much to keep you from going, but it's just like measure the expectations, I guess you could say, because you just never know. Chiang Mai is supposed to be the mecca for digital nomads. Everybody goes there. There's such a community. People share and care and learn and are open to exchange. And I didn't experience it like that at all. And probably because I went with that expectation, right? So, yeah, that's what I was saying. Group, I know, and a lot of people travel in groups because maybe the numbers thing, and like they don't want to deal with the hassle of travel planning and stuff like that as well. It's different reasons, or they just don't want to go by themselves. But yeah, even a group experience is going to be different from a solo experience. So if you went back to that same location that you already went, you'd have a totally different experience because you don't have that infrastructure, right? So it's just like, is Tulum right for you? I don't know, girl. Maybe. Is Albania right for you? I don't know, girl. Maybe. You know, you may not. You may have a completely different experience than what I had. I'm just telling you what had happened to me. What y'all talking about? I love these chats and appreciate your honesty. Super refreshing. You welcome, girl. I visited Albania years ago. I recall when you nod your head up and down. Yes. So I read about that. I haven't experienced that, but they're not expressive people. You know how sometimes you get into the using your body to try to communicate. Like they don't do that at all. So it's just like they would never think to say like time. Like they would just I learned some of that when old girl was trying to ask me to find her husband. But yeah, different. So yes mean no and no means yes. I'm not sure if they just speak. They just speak. They're not very animated. We grow through what we go through. We can. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we wither on the vine. Okay. It's amazing how helpful strangers can be. I've had my life in the hands of strangers in a different country, and I'm so thankful there are helpful people in the world. Everything exists everywhere. That's what I found. There's nice people and awful people everywhere. Everywhere. All right, y'all. I have more things to visually show you that I'm excited to show you later on down the line. But I think that's the bulk of the information you were looking for in terms of what the experience was like being here and like some of the visa questions and the logistics of accommodation and the utilities, cost of living and stuff like that. And maybe a few cultural things that are just, you know, what I see through my eyes, through my experiences or whatever of these people. Of these people. If you have any more questions about stuff, please reach out. I'm going to update the description. I didn't have a chance to, but I send out a weekly newsletter. I'm going to start. I started last week. So I'm going to finally utilize that. Also, I have my Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs Group, where we try to encourage us supporting one another, because I am not a platform kind of girl. That's why it's kind of taken 100 years for me to show my face versus telling other people's stories and uplifting other people. Because I don't want you to get too focused on this, because you can have this too. And yeah, so that's what I try to focus on in the group, bringing it back to we all have valuable experiences. We all have expertise. We all have something really, really dope to offer. Sometimes some of us don't realize what that is. So that's the kind of culture I encourage in the group. It's for people to speak up, for the ladies in the group to speak up. You can also check out the podcast. I do this every single week. I put out a show every week for the last 2 years. We're coming up on 107. That is publishing tomorrow. But I talk to Black women travelers every single week. I ask them about where they came from. I ask them about the decisions and the experiences that they had growing up and how they've been able to get through their challenges, how they take care of themselves. And they often have businesses. So I ask them about their expertise as well. You know, if it's marketing or tech or whatever it is. So I get like I'm trying to get a holistic story, the person being and the person, what they do as well. So you could check that out. It's available pretty much everywhere. If you use podcast catchers like Apple or Gmail, Google, or Spotify or Stitcher or whatever. I also have the website podcast.blackwomentravel.com. That's Black Women Travel, TRAVL, no E, right? And then I'm trying to get myself together, if this heat would stop playing with my life, to make some really dope stuff happen. I think November this year, for people who would like to learn a little bit more. I think that the crucial part is giving yourself permission to believe that this thing is possible, that you can travel on your own terms. But then also there's some other logistical stuff that comes into play. So the conference is what I'm talking about, International Black Women Travel Jubilee, where I try to do a bit of a balance of both to help boost you a little bit, because we all need reminders, right, from time to time, but also some of the logistical stuff to learn how to travel longer, better, and with more confidence. So look out for information with that. I also would like to do some influencer campaign type stuff. So trying to sprinkle that in. But that's what I have going on. Podcast, group, conference. So yeah, I'm going to update the description to give you some quick and easy links so you can shoot right over and get in where you fit in. I think y'all shared a little bit more. Appreciate you sharing, Wanda. Thank you. You're welcome, Robin. Robin is the OG, by the way. Robin believes that women over 50 are not meant to lay down in a ditch like I want Summer to, and that they are thriving. And she does group tours as well. Y'all should get it. Robin Tillotson. She has her own podcast, This I Do For Me. She is super dope. She has been a part of the community for years. She's also a Patreon, outside of Patreon. She's also a Patreon subscriber. Join that Patreon. I provide different opportunities at different times. A lot of them are free that I think you might be interested in. This was great. Thanks, Wanda. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. I love the communities you are building and the information you share. Your podcast is refreshing and soul stirring. Oprah who? I appreciate all you do. I appreciate you too. Teresa is also a Patreon subscriber. Thank you so much, Teresa, for always showing up. I'm so excited about where you're taking. Teresa also has a t-shirt joint. Is it just t-shirts or do you have other products? I think you have other products. She has a product store. Get at Teresa if you want the super cute merch. So thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. I'm going to end it here, and I'll see y'all out in the internet streets. Have a very beautiful Saturday.